Welcome back to Start Here with UDL, and we're going to take a look at TREE, which is everyone's favorite learner-owned strategy. So TREE's been around a long time, and it is considered a pre-writing strategy, but we're actually going to push it a little bit further today. So just to review the pieces of TREE, yeah, you either start with a topic, sentence, or a thesis statement. My example here has a thesis statement. Reasons 3 or more. You end and then you wrap it up right and you examine to see if you have all your parts. So if we were doing some hand motions, we'd have our thesis statement, we'd have reasons, 3 or more, and then we'd have our ending where we wrap it up right and then we examine all of our parts. Take your binoculars, take a look at it. You can see on the left-hand side, there's a handmade anchor chart with some reminders of you don't need complete sentences. You're just getting your thoughts out. You can refer to your text annotations from whatever you're doing in class, and then give yourself a citation to make sure that you can see where you're pulling things from. Look on the right-hand side, you'll see a more articulated version of this. If you zoom in real close, you'll see under the E for examine, do I have all my parts? You ask yourself, do my reasons make sense? You're examining all your parts with your binoculars. This is my binoculars right here. And then you could check to see you've used thieves to see if the reader could find all your parts. So if you use thieves to check if the reader has all their parts, then that's a nice reminder to you of you could water up your reasoning using a visual or changing the vocabulary. You might realize, I don't really have a conclusion. I don't have a way to wrap it up right. I'm not really reinforcing my thoughts and summarizing without any new information. So there's 2 examples right there. You're not going to have any trouble finding lots of things online about TREE, but one thing that we do want you to see is TREE is a way to organize your thinking. And so much claim evidence reasoning focus is out there right now. I wanted to say that even when you start with the littles, the topic, what is this about, is the beginning of justification in math for the process goals. Any of these transfer goals that we're working on in our content areas, like the science and engineering practices, where I really just want a student to start working through their data collection and their modeling and their reasoning. So I want them to think in terms of, well, I've analyzed something with to pry, and I've pulled some reasons for my thinking, and I'm going to attach that to my hypothesis, my topic sentence, my thesis statement. If you use something like TREE across the curriculum, what will happen is students will build their ability to pull from their learner-owned strategy toolkit, not just because they say, oh, I'm writing this essay for my teacher, but I'm actually just trying to put together my thoughts. So if you take a look at this particular anchor chart, topic, reasons, ending, and examine, you'll see, what are you talking about? What evidence do you want to share? Have a final closing statement, and then check that your reasoning and reasons and evidence relate to your topic. And this is summarized as a reasoning and evidence strategy. Now, that doesn't negate the fact that it is, in fact, also a pre-writing strategy for expository and persuasive writing. But if you switch over to like a math task, you can start seeing students standing up and talking to their partners and their group, and maybe even the whole class, and saying, well, I think this is why. Here are the manipulatives and the drawings and representations that I've used. And this is why I think this is so. And I think that's everything I have to say, and being open to revising their thinking, because someone else can say, well, this is what I thought, and these are the reasons, and this is how I think all the pieces fit together. I think that's everything I know. And now we can start having conversations in academic discourse. So to think of it as a multi-day routine of, gosh, I've got to learn some things, and then I'm going to sketch out my pre-write to write an essay for maybe an audience and maybe not, is useful. And it might even be more useful to think about how to make this a cognitive flexibility support so that students can see we give evidence to support a claim. We give reasons to support a topic sentence. We look for data and information in every content area because we are communicating reasons and evidence, and it doesn't have to be specific to any content. So it does fit nicely with our developing skilled readers and building reading stamina process goal. So when responding to text through discussion, which is the one I was talking about, or writing, so it could be either, you draw some evidence and you support a claim or conclusion or inference, and you would quote or paraphrase from a text and trace where the evidence came from. And let me jump back one more time. So when we think about this, what am I talking about? What are my reasons? Where am I going with this? Am I still on task? Am I still on? Do I want to revise anything? That goes so nicely with DSRC of when responding to text through discussion. And that's a nice cross curricular for social studies, for science, for CTE. And so, of course, for learner agency, our students are able to choose the tree strategy for any of the writing pieces, which we know, and also just to organize their ideas. So even though most of these are going to focus on writing, what we want you to think about is how else can I use tree to, one last time, put their thoughts together and maybe answer back to a math task and be ready to talk with their peers in a science circle or in a small group. Because the one thing that is so lovely about tree is it helps you organize your thinking, whether your outcome is going to be something written, spoken, or revised.